afternoon. Happy Tuesday. So today we're going to start our mission delivery leadership meeting with a special guest that is going to do a mission moment for us. So I'm very proud to introduce Erin Bowers. Erin is a longtime MADD volunteer with Texas for over a decade, and she has joined us today to share her story. So Erin, welcome to our meeting, and you can take it from here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sean. And Tracy, nothing was more relatable than talking to somebody on mute. Like I've done it, like we're in conference prep right now, so I've done it like 19 times today. It's been a day. What day is it? I don't even know. But let me first just say what an honor and a privilege it is to have this opportunity. You know, like she said, I've been a MADD volunteer for 10 years. I've worn a lot of different hats here in our great state of Texas, and I'm very, very proud to be a part of this organization and to have a moment of your time. I know everybody's really busy, so I'm going to try to make it as fun and entertaining as I possibly can. So just to give a little backstory on myself, for those of you who might not be familiar, originally why I started with this organization, I got to take you back to 1985. So in 1985, I was 6 months old. Do not do the math, please. I appreciate it. And we were driving home it was me, my mom, and my dad and my cousin. And at the time, if anybody on this call remembers 1985, they just introduced this new really cool thing called a car seat. And I just happened to be in one, but it was brand new at the time. And it was this little metal rink-a-dink contraption that it doesn't really classify. It would not classify in today's standards, thank goodness. And so we were driving home. My dad was driving. I was in the front seat facing forward, because you know that's what you do with infants, right? Yeah. Again, totally different time frame. And we were hit head on by a drunk driver. And statistically, everyone in the front seat should have died, and everybody in the back seat should have survived. But as we all know on this call, a mother's love will always outweigh any statistic. And so upon impact, my father, who was driving, he died instantly. My cousin, who was in on the driver's side in the back seat, she broke almost every bone in her body, was unconscious, but she survived. My mother, right before impact, she saw something coming, right? Like I definitely know bits and pieces of it. I know she saw something coming because she threw off her seatbelt. That is something that my cousin remembers, and lunged herself in front of me to protect me. And it literally braced me for that impact. And it threw her into the windshield. And she died about 2 minutes later. And I, at the time, had a broken arm, a broken leg, multiple lifelong injuries to my back and my spine that I still have to get treatment for today. And, you know, not just that, but a lot of trauma. You know, I think in 1985, especially, we didn't talk about mental health. We don't talk about it, right? That was a big deal. And my brother, Guy Jonathan Crawford, he was 14 at the time. And I thank goodness that he was not in the car. You know, he didn't have to visually see what had happened. And you know, me and my brother, we grew up in two different worlds, because immediately after the crash, my aunt and my uncle moved down to Brazoria, where we're originally from, this little bitty town in South Texas that literally nobody's heard of, essentially. And my adopted mom, which is actually my mom's sister, so biologically my aunt and my uncle, came in and kind of took over their lives. She slept in her dead sister's bed. She used her dead sister's coffee table, and she ran her dead sister's business for 17 years. How she did that, I will never know, and I've already told her she's earned her sainthood. You know, she is my angel, and I love her so much. And so, you know, we just went through life, right? My brother, as soon as he turned 18, he was just trying to disassociate and check out, went and joined the oil field. I was 4. We kind of grew up in two different parallel worlds, in a sense. We didn't become close till we were much older. But one of the stories, I was trying to think, you know, what could I share with you guys that might be a little bit different from what I typically post online and things like that. And this one thought kept coming into my head, and I really want to tell you guys about a bowling ball. And I know you're probably like, Erin, that's so silly. Why would you want to talk about a bowling ball today? But I got to tell you the story. It's so good. So I'm going to take you back about 16 years, and we were getting ready to sell our house in Brazoria. And there was a front closet that was memorialized. That night they died, everything went into that closet. My mom's purse, my dad's wallet. I have a $50 bill with my dad's blood on it from that night. everything went into that wallet. And we were not allowed to touch it, go near it. We weren't even allowed to use the front door because it was by the closet. We had to go through the side, you know. So I go down there and nobody emotionally could clean out this closet. So I went and I said, I'll just go power through and do it. That's what I do. And I went and I was going through it and I found this bowling ball. And you see, my mother, Helen Leslie Crawford, was an avid bowler and she scored many 300s. I have her trophies actually right up there. Very impressive. And so I remember looking at Jeannie, my adopted mom, and I said, hey, can I have this bowling ball that was mom's? And she goes, well, yeah, your brother's gotten everything he wanted. Take the ball, whatever. So for 16 years, I carried this extremely heavy, large bowling ball from house to house. And every time I moved, I was like, what am I going to do with this bowling? I would cry. It was trauma. Like, what am I going to do? I'm never going to use it. Why do I keep doing this? But something in my heart just told me, just keep it, just keep it, just keep it. And I did. And then we're going to fast forward to 2020. At that point in my brother's life, he came to a place where he finally agreed to get help and get mental health care that he so desperately needed all those years that he refused to get. And I became essentially his mother. I had medical guardianship over him, even though he was, again, 14 years older than me. I was 35, he would have been 49. And so I took control over everything and I said, I'm going to get you the help you need. So we were in and out of state hospitals. I had to go in front of a judge on my brother's 50th birthday to have him committed as a ward of the state, just to continue getting the mental health care that he needed. As we all know, I think on this call, that system is completely broken as well, but that's here nor there. And I remember my brother was finally starting to come around and feeling like himself again. And he went to join a bowling league because he was also an avid bowler. And he was complaining to me saying, Erin, you know, I want to go bowling, but all my bowling stuff's in Houston. It's in a storage unit. Excuse. And I don't deal with excuses very well. So I said, well, why don't you just use mom's ball? And he goes, what are you talking about, Erin? Like, what do you mean mom's ball? He's like, you don't have mom's ball. And I was like, ha, 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 ha. Let me tell you something, buddy. I have mom's ball and I know it and you're wrong and I'm right and I'm going to go get it. And I'll never forget that day. Like, I was walking down my hallway and I was talking like a big game. Like, oh, I'm going to show you, you know, I got her stuff. You don't know what you're talking about. And I walk out with the ball and his face, we were like laughing about it. And then his face just drops. And he goes, Erin, don't cry. And I said, what do you mean? And I'm laughing. I'm like, what are you talking about? Why are you being silly? Stop being silly. He's like, I don't want to upset you, because he hated it when I cried. Absolutely hated it. And I said, well, what could you possibly say that could upset me? And he goes, honey, you see the things that are in the finger holes, like where you put your fingers? He goes, they didn't make those in the 80s. And I went, okay. Trying to put the pieces together, going, what do you mean they did? Mom died in 85, math, I don't know. What are we talking about right now? And he goes, honey, baby, don't cry. That's my ball. And I go, you have got to be, I was so like shocked. I mean, my face just said it all. And then he's like, please, please, please don't cry. And I start laughing hysterically. Like I was laughing so hard that I was crying. I could not, my husband came in, the neighbor heard me. It was like a whole thing. So funny. And we both just started laughing and had this beautiful moment together. And I was like, well, here's the good news. I have taken great care of your ball for the last 16 years. I guess I'm done crying over it and I'm going to give it back to you. You can have your ball. I don't want to cry over it anymore. And I'll never forget the day he walked out because he was leaving with my son and they went to go bowling. And I went to open the door and I looked over at Guy and I said, I can't wait to tell this story at your funeral. Because that's the dark humor that we had together. We laughed about things. That's how we survived. That was our survival tactic together. We would make jokes about stuff that most normal people would not laugh about. And fast forward again, about 18 months later, let's call it, I told that story at his funeral on June 13th, 2021. Because I lost my brother to suicide. All because of the reckless actions of Brett McKnight's careless decision that he made in 1985. Because even though my brother, like I started this call and I said, my brother wasn't in the car, right? He survived. That drunk driver killed my brother as well. He killed the brother he was supposed to be the dad he was supposed to be. I have my niece is graduating from high school in 2 weeks. She called me last night and she said, Aunt Erin, thank you for being the stand-in for my dad. And so if you ever have a bad day, or you go, God, why do I still do this, right? Because it's hard. It's hard, especially if you're not a victim. It is hard work. Please remember that you're fighting the good fight, that you're living your purpose. I could not do it full time at all. There's no way I could relive this trauma over and over. But most recently, I did have the opportunity to go with Frank. Frank came down to see us in Texas. I was so excited to have him here. And we went and did our advocacy day. And then a few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to testify in front of the House committee as well. That was my first time testifying. And that was the most beautiful experience for me and most empowering because I've never said the offender's name. So one thing MADD has done for me is given me my voice. And that's a big thing for me because before I started volunteering with MADD, I didn't talk about it because I carried so much personal shame and guilt for trauma that I won't even take you through today. And I had the realization at 30 years old that, oh my gosh, I've never told my story to people who I work with on a daily basis. And now I won't shut up about it, essentially, is what it is. And I will go and scream it from the rooftops and every media interview and anything we have to do. And so when Frank came to us and said, listen, we're trying to do this thing in DC in September, I said, sign me up, man. Sign me up. I don't care. I gotta go. I gotta go. And he's like, well, it might have to be self-funded and this, that, and the third. And so I started thinking about it and I'm like, how can I, one, make sure that I have enough funding to send myself? But I know there's a lot of other victims and survivors that are in places where financially they just can't go, you know? And I'm very fortunate because I have a very good friend who has figured out how to monetize her social media. And so I started doing that about 3 weeks ago. So shameless plug, Sean, I'll send you my TikTok handle. And if anybody wants to go follow me, once I hit 1,000 followers, I can start monetizing. And then of course, 10,000, you make more money. But I have to also shamelessly plug while I'm in front of you today, because that's what I've been doing.
Erin, feel free to put your TikTok channel right into the chat if you can. Yeah, because I think people will want to follow, knowing that you're looking to raise money also for victims and survivors to be there for our 45th and for other obvious, future things that we do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Erin, thank you for, joining us today, being so raw and real and sharing your story. A lot of people on this call, we work with victims, volunteers, and we hear stories day in and day out. But the mission moments remind us all exactly what you said, why we do this and why our work is so important. And so, giving us your time, which I know is valuable, is really appreciated. I also just want to thank you for shining a light as well on mental health. It is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so to bring that to light, I think was very profound as well, which was something I didn't expect. So I just thank you for, just being so open with us. And everybody, want to thank Erin for joining us today. Erin, obviously, I will be in touch, and you can reach out to me if you need anything in the interim.
All right, that's great. Well, yeah, I'll go on mute and drop my handle in the chat, and then I got to go hop on another conference call. So.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, please drop the handles for everything so people can follow you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Sean.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you. Oh, that was lovely. It's been a long time since we've started a call off with a mission moment, and Erin did a beautiful job, and so thank you. Okay, so I am going to, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining. I have a few, just